Welcome back, everyone. Now, the reason I'm bowing is because today was a day of great tranquility. I started off the day with a massive run, went to a awesome meditation, had a great speech and talk that was cultivated afterwards from the meditation, and then did a 2-hour yoga session later in the day. But today I wanted to speak on the concept of flow, and that was essentially what I learned here today after my meditation. Now, I meditate with a group out in Oakville called Oakville Zen that really tries to practice Zen Buddhism, but today someone from the group actually showcased some research and some reading through presenting a paper that they wrote, a small 3 pages on flow state. Now, essentially what flow state is it's a concept to which many individuals who are completely immersed in their given craft end up reaching. And I can give examples. It's the musician who is definitively tied to his craft to the point where everything else is blocked out. They're one with the music. It's the athlete who's one with the sport they're playing. If you've ever watched the Kobe Bryant flinch test and he didn't even flinch, it's because he's so focused on the act of what he's doing. It's the painter who paints for 24 hours. It's the person in their business that's completely locked in. And essentially what flow state is a state of being that you can't necessarily describe. My friend Curtis essentially said, if you are going to take this from a meditative lens, it is so undescribable, it's essentially diminished by words of the worldly viewpoint. So if you were to ever look at a sunset, for example, to put a word or to put a label on it to say it's beautiful actually diminishes the value of what that sunset looks like, because you have to experience it. So for me to describe what flow state is extremely hard because you have to experience it. But from the research, the way that you get that is you cultivate a mass sense of awareness where you're essentially in full consciousness. Now, what that looks like specifically is undescribable, but you can describe it in the essence of what it's not. So, for example, it's very hard to describe silence, but silence is the absence of sound. The way that it was described is flow state is the absence of thoughts, so it's thoughtless, and it's the absence of your 5 senses. You essentially rise above your physical sensations and your thoughts to get to the state of undivided attention, focus, and consciousness. Many great spiritual leaders have gotten there, and the best way that one is able to get into that state is by practicing meditation in mass degrees. So for example, one of the things that was described is if you were to meditate for a few hours in a given day, you will see glimpses of that flow state where you essentially have no thoughts and you rise above a certain level of being. It's extremely hard to do, and one of the things that's important to know is if you're chasing that state, you can never inherently get it, because it's tied, your desire to get to that state is tied to ego. So essentially, flow state is egoless, thoughtless, and physicallessness. Very complex kind of way of looking at things from a Western viewpoint, especially since we tend to label every single thing. One of the questions that was asked today is, well, is flow state good or bad? And it's neither good or bad. It's neither this or that. It just is. And it's a concept that we're not necessarily accustomed to because we try to label everything because it gives us a sense of control. It gives us a sense of understanding, and that sense of understanding allows us to be less anxious. But if you lean into the doubt, you look at flow state as it just is. It's complete presentness, it's complete consciousness, it's the absence of the things that I mentioned before. This one was awesome. Learned a lot today. Thank you guys for listening.